Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic day wherever we are around the world. And welcome back to our match preview show for Liverpool's Premier League match against West Ham United. It does take place Sunday at 2:05. A bit later than the usual 2 p.m. kickoffs, but still, the Reds will be back in action, which I think for the majority of us hasn't been a good thing as of late. Anyway, but again, I want to know your guys' thoughts going into the game. I want to know your guys' goal predictions, starting 11 predictions, all of that good stuff. Are you excited? Yeah, I think the majority of us, very nervous for this game because of the poor results, and all the poor results, performances, everything around the football club at the minute is just not negative, and it is negative in a way because the team is not doing well at the moment, and it's kind of this man's job to kind of figure out how on earth Liverpool fix those problems, because they ain't going away anytime soon. And of course, West Ham away to the London Stadium. Our record, I don't think's half bad. Taking a quick peep at it a bit earlier. I've got it on me right now. But looking at the last couple of games where West Ham have been at home, obviously last season Liverpool won 5-0 when it could have been more, but again, looking over the recent history of results, Liverpool drawing 2-2 in 2024, only just beating West Ham 2-1 then in 2023, and then of course West Ham's only win in this fixture was back in terms of recent, was back in November 2021 at the London Stadium. But still, even though I think, look on paper, people go, oh, well, you look at the league table, it's 12th against 17th, which isn't laughable, isn't a laughable matter, because, again, Liverpool should be nowhere near this position in hindsight. But, again, you have to kind of feel tense and nervous around it because of... quite simply, look at how Forest played last week, and I think you're going to kind of get something similar, in terms of build-up, in terms of setup from West Ham. Of course, Nuno last season, at Forest, it took 4 points off of Liverpool when he was the manager at Nottingham Forest. Again, Arne Slot struggled a little bit in that style of things, and again, you're most likely think it could be the same type of situation where it is a low block, them playing long balls behind. Again, it depends on the London Stadium, again, because the atmosphere could be there, can't be there. That stadium's a bit, up and down for that. But still, Liverpool on the pitch need to do the work. They need to do the job. And we kind of need to see what Curtis Jones was said in that interview and what kind of Liverpool need to do. In terms of, running, in terms of pressing, in terms of being the team that nobody wants to face again. And so far this season, I should say, Liverpool have not been that team, not even once, in my opinion, have been the team that most people fear. And that's concerning, considering we are the Premier League champions. And I think everyone going into the season had so high hopes that now that it's just come down and crashed, where I think... certainly against PSV, I think that was the first realization, I think, by many people that Liverpool were seriously in trouble. Like, again, I think everyone has realized that Liverpool are in trouble, because of the season that we're having. But I think that performance in particular, I think that is now the real eye-opener of going, oh, that's, we are in serious trouble. And there's many people, I know people will already be watching this video and saying, they want Slot out, after the comments on the PSV post-match. A lot of people said that in the comments. You guys said it very loudly that you guys think Arne Slot time at Liverpool has come to an end, or at least you guys think it's come to an end. And look, it is performance-based, results, and at the end of the day, the results are the things that matter the most. And Liverpool, 9 defeats in our last 12 isn't great, and look, it's our worst run of form in over 50 plus years, I believe it is, as well. And look, in my opinion, Liverpool, it might have been 70 years plus. Again, it was either 50 or 70, I couldn't remember, but again, the thing that annoys me and frustrates me a lot this season is Liverpool, in terms of pressing and in terms of being outrun by teams that we shouldn't really realistically be outrun by. I think, Curtis Jones mentioned it in the CBS interview after the game in terms of against PSV, in terms of, again, Liverpool not running, Liverpool not, pressing well and not being the team that is, outworking teams really off the ball. And that's for me the biggest one, where again, certain individuals, we'll talk about them in a moment, but I think certain individuals need to step up to the plate again, and haven't done so. I'm going to obviously mention the fact that the player, in my honest opinion, that deserves to be out of the conversation in terms of not working his arse off is Dominic Szoboszlai. I think Dom is the only exception this season where he has been an 8 or 9 out of 10 plus the entire season. It doesn't matter if he's playing right back, DM, alongside Gravenberch playing in the 10. Christ, he's even played, left wing, right wing this season so far. He's played everywhere for Liverpool. And for me, he's been by far Liverpool's best player. And I think everybody needs to look at Dominic Szoboszlai and go, that's the example of what you need to be doing in this Liverpool team. And I'm hoping and praying that Arne Slot has really laid it into the players as well. Because yes, we can criticise Arne Slot and criticise his tactics and criticise, what he has and has not done over the last couple of weeks. But for me, it's also players as well need to look at themselves. I think there's people like Cody Gakpo, Mohamed Salah as well. I think what Jamie Carragher has said on various outlets in terms of Sky and CBS, and saying that, look, Mo Salah was happy last season coming out when he was at his best, but he hasn't really come out and said anything about the poor run of form at the moment. And I think he needs to speak volumes, because at the moment, I was watching the goal back, I believe it was PSV's second or third goal, and Mo Salah just gets outdone and doesn't run back, just jogs back. And look, he didn't do that last season as much, but when your team is losing, when your team isn't great at the moment, you have to dig in, you have to fight as well. And Mo hasn't done that, and there's talks, and Arne Slot said in his press conference, didn't he, about the likes of Joe Gomez, Federico Chiesa being involved as well. I think these two need to be given the opportunity more. I personally think, look, for me, I don't get why Federico Chiesa isn't being spoken about more by Arne Slot. I think, in my personal opinion, I think Chiesa's way better than Gakpo and Salah so far this season, and that's something, of course, Arne Slot may disagree, but for me, I think Federico Chiesa has been very decent when he's been brought on. He's made moments, he's created chances, he's taken opportunities as well when he's only just had one or two, let's be honest, throughout the season. So in my opinion, I think, look, it'll be interesting to see whether or not we do change anything. It'll be interesting as well to see whether or not Florian Wirtz will be back into the team. He did speak about how there wasn't going to be anything today. Tomorrow, you're most likely going to see or hear about potentially, people coming back as well, which hopefully, that will be the case with Florian Wirtz, because I think we did miss him a lot against PSV. And personally, I think, there's the whole talk and concept of, what is Liverpool's best 11 at the moment. And I want to know your guys' thoughts, because for me, looking at the defence, right now, what do you say? Probably Van Dijk and Robbo at the moment, because they're the only two that has done a decentish job at the moment. Kirkes, hasn't performed well again. The less said about Ibrahim Konate, the better. Let's be perfectly honest. And Joe Gomez, I think, deserves to start for Liverpool. But again, the whole conversation will be who started right back for Liverpool. And look, I think for me, the team I personally would go for, I'd go Alisson in goal. I'd go Gomez right back, Konate, Van Dijk and Robbo. I think, again, get a bit more structure in the team personally. I'd then go Ryan Gravenberch, Dom Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz. If Florian Wirtz is not available, then I would swap for Curtis Jones. Again, don't think Alexis McAllister should be starting this game. Again, poor against PSV, and I think Curtis Jones deserves an opportunity in the midfield if Florian Wirtz isn't available. And then the front three, I personally would go Chiesa on the left, Mohamed Salah on the right, and I'd go Alexander Isak up top because we don't have Hugo Ekitike. By the looks of things, of course, it was a back spasm against PSV. That's why he came off injured. So yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case, and he might be out for a little bit, which, again, abysmal, terrible that we don't have Hugo Ekitike available. But hopefully it will only be for this game. He'll be back for the midweek game against Leeds, I believe, as well. But look, let me know your guys' thoughts and predictions down in the comments. For me, I'm going to go score prediction wise. Let's go 2-1 Liverpool. I hope that Liverpool can change things, because it's annoying, isn't it, Chad? It's annoying the fact that Liverpool are not winning games. I think the moods by everyone, I think, is down because of how poor we are. Because I think you can perform well and still lose games. But it's just that, isn't it, so far this season? It's not only the results have been bad, the performances have also been shocking. And look, I'm hoping it does change. I'm hoping this is the turning point, really, because I think I've seen something from Jamie Carragher again, where he said, in his opinion, Slot has a week to save his job. And it could very well be the case, but we'll have to wait and see what happens, at least anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. I'll be very intrigued to know your guys' opinions down in the comment section. I will reply to each and every single one of you if you have stayed tuned for the entire video. So make sure you do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for a live show. Of course, we're going to be live, probably talking about Slot and other bits and pieces on a Saturday, because again, the game's on Sunday, so make sure you are staying tuned to that anyway. But I've been Connor from the Cup Council. We'll see you guys a bit later on. Ta-ra.